Energy Executives is a special edition of Axpo's podcast Energy Voices. Regular episodes are in Swiss German and German. The following conversation is in English. Electricity should always be available, cheap, clean and local. At the same time, the protection of nature makes it difficult to build new energy infrastructures. We want to hear firsthand how Axpo's executives are navigating this complex environment. Today with Domenico De Luca. He is the CEO of Axpo Solutions, head of Axpo Trading and Sales, and a member of the board of Axpo Group. And he is now in conversation with Karin Frey.
Domenico De Luca. For most people, the energy market is a book with 7 seals. It seems super complicated. You chose this field on purpose, even though you were an engineer. What is the kick for you? Why do you love trading?
Well, I love trading in the energy markets because it combines many super interesting features. One is the application of engineering expertise. You need to understand the engineering of the world, of the physics of the world. The other, the application of finance, mathematics, and the geopolitical challenge. Because, all the activities we are doing, all the products we are trading for us and for the customers, those prices are set globally and not at the local level. So this makes it fascinating.
How important are those things that happen in the world for you? Speaking of crisis, weather, war, peace, Middle East, Ukraine. Do you get up in the morning and are thrilled to hear the news?
I am absolutely. And probably even more all my colleagues working in trading and sales. We are always depending on the news, so we are continuously reading everything what is going on because it has such a big impact on all the things we are doing. You mentioned weather. Weather is becoming more and more important because of the stochasticity of the production. So basically renewable penetration in the market is becoming larger and larger. And so
Stochasticity meaning that wind and sun is not always there. It changes.
Exactly. You don't know when it comes. And so you need to forecast when it is coming. And for that, we have a lot of meteorologists working for us in order to do that.
Axpo sells energy, it produces energy. Why does it need to trade? Why is that fundamental?
Well, I think it's fundamental because it gives you an understanding of the market, which you wouldn't have without it. And, having such a big production, we started the trading activities basically based on our production when we started so many years ago. And it is important to see what in the best way in which you can sell your production, right? And from that beginning of asset optimization, economical asset optimization, we started also the proprietary trading activities and also the activities of origination, which is the customer-based activity.
Let me stop you there. Proprietary trading, that means you have traders in-house and they trade with the in-house assets. So a lot of people criticize that because they say, well, it's like, why do you trade with your own stuff? Isn't that dangerous? Isn't it gambling? It's the taxpayers' money, basically, because Axpo belongs to the cantons.
So I think what we do is very important because by trading, we gain an understanding of the market. Without this understanding, we could not perform our activities, our understanding, our activities that I mentioned before as good as we are doing. And by doing that, we have consistently made money during all these years. The results of the last years are showing it basically. And I think this comes to the advantages of the taxpayer of the tax revenues in Switzerland and also of the cantons.
You mentioned the revenues. Let's be concrete. 3.2 billion Swiss francs, 3,2 Milliarden Schweizer Franken is what Axpo made in 22-23. So how much of that?
That was not only trading, but we made a big chunk of it.
How big was the trading chunk?
I would say it was over 50%. And this has been actually the share we had in the last 10 years.
What is the secret of success?
Yeah, I think we built a fantastic organization. We have 1,600 people working on this, very professional across the world. And yeah, I think results are showing.
You mentioned origination. Mm-hmm. Can you explain it?
Well, origination is basically the activities in which we are serving customers. Customer is the focus of this activity. We are offering risk management services.
What does that mean?
Risk management service means, in a simple word, removing risk from customers, and we manage those customers for a fee, so basically for a margin.
Can you give a concrete example of what you do? Like a power purchase agreement, for instance?
In a PPA, what we are offering is a long-term hedge for a renewable power plant. So basically, in this case, the renewable power plants needs to secure the cash flow. First of all, they need to make the investment. In order to make the investment, they need the financing. Usually, those projects are financed 80-20, so means 20% will come from the equity, 80% will come from the banks. And those banks will require certain guarantee related to the cash flow. In order to guarantee those cash flow, or in order to reduce the volatility of this cash flow, our service, by fixing the price or by providing special features related to energy price for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, enables the equity owner to get the financing and enables us basically to make business.
And you're doing that in the whole world?
We are doing that in Europe mainly. We have done this also in US, and that's basically the two markets where we have been operating with PPA. And I think so in that way, Axpo has also made its contribution in terms of energy transition, so enabling basically new renewable energy to come to the market.
Before I ask you about the renewables, what do you do with all that money? I mean, 3.2 billion.
Well, actually, this is a decision up to the board of directors what they want to do with the money. So it's not to me, but I think part of the money is reinvested into our security of supply in Switzerland, a big chunk of it. But we are investing also abroad in order to, continuously grow our renewable business, at the same time also our origination and trading activities. And of course, a big part should go also to our cantons, to our shareholders in forms of dividends.
Now, from a trading perspective, is the energy transition more of a risk or is it a fat opportunity for new business?
I think is an opportunity because the market is so important in the energy transition. In order for the energy transition to be affordable in terms of economics, it should be done on a market intelligent way. And we play an important role being market expert, right? As Axpo in Switzerland, but even more abroad, it will be important. It will give us some opportunities.
Domenico, with the energy crisis, it became super clear energy is of crucial importance to any state. If the lights went out, that would be an absolute disaster. So one could say, why leave it to the market that's volatile? Why not make the entire energy complex a state affair, regulated, owned by a state, no market?
If you would have had no market, you would have had no price generated by demand and supply. This means we would have had no way to understand the problem very quickly, and we would have potentially had very quickly problem in matching the demand. We should not forget that what happened in 2022 was a lot of gas. 1/3 of the gas is delivered by Russia, and this was missing from one day to the other. And thanks to the high price, Europe was able to, and to the very well integrated energy markets. It's a very good job that Europe did in the last 20 years. So thanks to this integrated market, Europe was able to buy gas from US on a form of LNG. It was able to buy gas from Qatar, among others, and from others. And this gas came to Europe because we were willing to pay 150 euros per megawatt hour, while our normal price in Europe was 20 euros per megawatt hour. So basically what I'm trying to say is that our price that Europeans were willing to pay was way above Chinese were willing to pay, way above Korean were willing to pay, way above Japanese were willing to pay. And these are the big places where demand is going usually. So Europe was able to divert all this gas and came to Europe. Reason number two, thanks to the high prices, the demand in Europe reacted. We had between 22 and 23 a reduction of demand on gas of 10%. Which is a huge quantity for a European market. It's just a huge. And we were able to get it because, people were sensitive to the high price. They reduced at home the heating. And this brought home efficiency brought 5% of this reduction, and another 5% came, unfortunately, through some reduction on the industry side.
So, but what you're basically saying is that if the price of energy just were high all the time, people would be a lot more sensitive, and we'd do the climate a favor.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say it would do a favor to the efficient allocation of the resources. If the price would have not been high, we just wouldn't have gotten any gas from outside. We would have blackout very clearly. I mean, it's very difficult to understand how, let's put us in a context in which the integrated energy market in Europe would have never existed.
Integrated means that it's very well connected, exactly, and everybody trades with everyone.
Exactly. I think Europe is one of the best cases in the world. There is not a single continent I know that is so integrated as Europe. So in terms of energy, not even US is not as good as Europe. So the fact that we were able to bring gas from the LNG cargo to Spain in the regasification station, so from US to Spain, from Spain to Central Europe where it was needed is thanks to the very good infrastructure which Europe has invested, and thanks to the fact that the market price worked. So because in Central Europe, people were willing to buy gas at any price.
So if I understand correctly, it's also a matter of time. Time was of essence. Had you not had the system, Absolutely. The integrated market, it would have taken way too long to get the whole thing moving.
Look, imagine from one day to the other, 1/3 of the gas supply is disappearing because Russia is not delivering. Do you think that delegation of politicians going around the world begging for gas would work? I mean, this would require years before you get an emergency of like that. This was done like that.
I hear you're a fan of the market.
Absolutely, I am.
In Switzerland, it is the case that only the big players can choose their supplier. The little guy has to go with the local energy supplier, whether he wants to or not. Would it be an advantage or a disadvantage if the market were totally liberal?
I think would be an advantage for the market to be liberalized also at a lower threshold level in Switzerland compared to today.
Because?
Because I think would give the option to choose to customers that are in a position to choose between, having a captive supplier and being able to buy from the market. It doesn't mean necessarily that they will get a cheaper price in the future, but they will have more choice.
But that would probably also make it super complicated. I mean, I'm thinking about the telecoms who have super duper confusing packages, and in the end you choose and you probably get the same thing everywhere, but you have to deal with something that's complicated per se. Is that going to happen if the market becomes totally liberal?
At the beginning, there will be some complication, I'm sure, because it's not easy. Even, when you read your bill of power, it's not easy to understand all the points. I am sure that will not be easy. But the idea is to build the know-how through the years. I mean, through the years, there will be more know-how and people will understand better and better what is their bill, number one. Number two, once again, I mean, just in order to get more efficiency, also in order to get more innovation, also in this area, it's important that the market is liberalized. And you said fully liberalized. I think probably not fully liberalized. There will be still some category probably need protection. And I think Switzerland here is nothing else than copy a lot of good example we can see in Europe, in which basically not all the customers have been completely liberalized, or there are this tariff of last resort in which for special category of customers, for instance, low-income customers, they can still buy a tariff. So it has not to be for everybody, but it has to give the option to everybody to go to the market.
You said it's also an incentive to become creative. So, for instance, would it push energy suppliers to start making deals, for instance, with house owners to make sure they have plugs everywhere for e-mobility, etc., and come up with new business models?
Absolutely.
Is that a hope?
Absolutely, I think so. And this should be on a market fashion point of view. Today already, I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but today already there is a lot of innovation in Switzerland about it, but it's not on a market efficient base. It's like, I'm captive. So I think it is important to give this option to the customers. And what I do not understand, because I am a fan of Switzerland, I am also a Swiss citizen now, in terms of all the beauty, all the things that Switzerland has done on the economy, on many industry, we are at the forefront of the world, but on the energy we are not, and I don't understand why.
So we heard you were successful in the last few years, especially with trading. You're the head of trading and sales of Axpo. Now, once again, let's talk about the small guy. If you had to give a tip to a little guy, what should he or she bet his money on? Okay,
well, my advice would be not to bet, because that's wrong. Not even we are betting. First of all, I would say not bet, but invest if you want to do something, and invest in your know-how, invest in your knowledge. Read a lot. In order to invest, you need to understand the things and not just bet like that. So only once you have understood what how the energy markets works, then you can. If you want, you can take some bet, and this requires years and a lot of work. So don't bet. Let it do for professional. Don't do it yourself.
Domenico De Luca, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Energy Executives is the special edition of Energy Voices, the podcast from Axpo. We look forward to your feedback via email, podcast@axpo.com, or on X, formerly Twitter, using the hashtag Energy Voices.